My boyfriend let his clingy best friend move into our apartment, eat our food, and even invited him to my birthday dinner I'd planned. So I left for good, and he was crawling back. When I started dating Jared, his best friend Dorian came with him everywhere. Of our first 3 dates, Dorian was at 2. Jared apologized and said it would not be a regular thing. By month 2 it was. Friday dinners at our place, Saturday movies, Sunday breakfast at the diner. He came on our anniversary trip to the lake because Jared said it would be sad to leave him behind. He picked the music the whole drive. He took the second bedroom in the cabin I had booked for 2. The waitress mixed up plates, and he took the lobster I had ordered for Jared. I paid for the second one. I tried to bring it up calmly. I told Jared I wanted 1 weekend a month that was just us. He always agreed. He meant it for a day. Then Dorian would call about a rough patch and Jared would cave. Dorian's ex was crazy. His boss was unfair. His car was in the shop again. Jared said his best friend needed him. There was always a reason. There was always a story about how hard Dorian's week had been and how much he counted on the 2 of them. I noticed that the 2 of them never meant Jared and me. It meant Jared and Dorian, and I was supposed to be grateful for whatever space was left over. I started to feel like a side character in my own relationship. I started to dread Tuesdays because Tuesdays were when Dorian would just walk in without knocking, drop his keys on the counter, and sit down at our dining table like he had been invited. He never had been. He did not need to be. 6 months in, we moved in together. I thought living together would finally make us a unit instead of a trio. Dorian had a key within the first week. Jared gave it to him without asking me. He said it was for emergencies. I learned what that meant on a Saturday when I walked out of the bathroom in a towel and found Dorian on my couch eating cereal out of my bowl. He looked at me and did not look away. He said good morning like he lived there. He started showing up 3 or 4 nights a week. He ate our food. He used our shower when his hot water was out. He left his laundry on our floor. He sat in the middle of the couch during movies, so I had to sit on the end. He picked the restaurant. He picked the show. He passed out drunk on our couch most weekends, and the cushions smelled like him for days. Jared thought all of it was fine. He told me I was being sensitive. He told me Dorian was harmless. He told me I should be happy his best friend felt comfortable around me. Then my birthday came. I had planned a dinner at a steakhouse I had been wanting to try for a year. I told Jared 2 months in advance. Just us, no Dorian, no exceptions. He promised. The day of my birthday, I came home from work, and Dorian was sitting at our dining table in a button-up shirt with a wrapped present in front of him. Jared came out and said he hoped I would not mind, but Dorian had heard about the steakhouse and had never been. He said Dorian had even bought me a gift to thank me for including him. I had spent 2 months making sure I had not included him. I asked Jared if he was serious. He said I was making it a bigger deal than it was. He said Dorian had no one else and it was my birthday, so I should be the kind of person who gave instead of took. I put my coat back on and told them to enjoy the steakhouse. I went to my mother's house for the night. Jared called over and over, leaving voicemails saying I had ruined the surprise. He said Dorian had spent his last $40 on my present, and I had embarrassed his best friend on a night he had been looking forward to. He said I was selfish. The next morning, Dorian sent me his own long message. He told me he thought of me as a sister. He could not believe I had walked out on him. He thought I had walked out on him on my birthday in my own home. I came back 2 days later because my clothes were there. I told Jared that Dorian had to give back the key and the open invitation had to end, or I was done. Jared asked if I was really going to make him choose between the woman he lived with and the friend who had been there his whole life. I told him I was not making him choose. I was telling him what I needed. He said he could not do that to Dorian. He said Dorian would not survive it. I packed a duffel bag, called my sister Demi to come get me, and told Jared I was done. He stood in the doorway saying my name while she pulled up out front. He thought I would be back by Sunday. I never was. I moved into my old room at my mom Paulina's house and started putting myself back together one day at a time. I blocked Dorian's number the first night. I did not block Jared's. I told myself it was in case he needed to return my things. That was a lie. Part of me still wanted to hear him say he was sorry. 2 weeks after I walked out, the texts started. The first one came on a Tuesday. Hey, just wanted to see how you're doing. No sorry. No, I was wrong. No mention of the birthday or the bed or the 6 months of being pushed to the side of my own life. The next day, he sent another. Miss you around here. 4 words. No weight behind them. I did not reply. Demi came over most evenings after her shift. We cooked dinner together at Paulina's stove and played music on her phone and talked about anything that was not Jared. We made pasta. We made rice and chicken. We made soup from scratch on the nights we had the energy. Paulina would come in at the end and set the table for 3 and pour everyone water, and we would sit down together and eat. For the first time in months, I sat down at a table and ate a meal nobody else had picked. Nobody reached across and grabbed food off my plate. Nobody finished my leftovers before I could put them in the fridge. It was such a small thing, but it hit me hard. I had forgotten what it felt like to just eat in peace. I started cleaning out Paulina's garage during the day. It had been packed with boxes and old furniture for years, and nobody had touched it. I dragged everything out onto the driveway, sorted through it, tossed what was junk, and organized the rest. It felt good to have a project. It felt good to use my hands for something that had a clear finish line. One night, Paulina set her cup of tea down at the dining table and asked, "What are you going to do if he actually apologizes?" I said I did not know. She said, "You left because you knew your answer. You just haven't said it out loud yet." I sat there for a long time and let those words sink in because I knew she was right. I had left for a reason. The reason had not changed. Nothing on Jared's end had changed either. I just was not ready to close the door all the way, and I hated that about myself. Jared's texts shifted. The casual tone disappeared. I guess I don't even deserve a response. Then, you know Dorian asks about you every day. He actually cares about you. Even now, even after everything, Jared was still carrying Dorian's messages. Demi read them over my shoulder and said, "He's not texting because he misses you. He's texting because his life got harder without someone to clean up after 2 grown men." I knew she was right. He called on a Tuesday at 11. I let it ring. He called again on Wednesday. I let it ring. Then on Thursday, my phone buzzed with a 4-minute voicemail. When I pressed play on Friday, he was crying. For the first time, he was not talking about Dorian. He was talking about the bed being empty. Between sobs, he kept saying, "I keep reaching over and you're not there and I don't know how to fix this." He said the apartment did not feel like home anymore. He said my name like it hurt. My thumb hovered over his name and my contacts. I almost called back. I sat there for 30 seconds and then I set the phone down. The next evening, I told Demi about the voicemail. She said, said, "Let me hear it." I played it. She stood there with her arms crossed and listened to all 4 minutes without moving. When it ended, she said, "Play it again." I did. Near the last 30 seconds, she held up her hand. "Stop. Go back. Play that part again." I rewound, and then I heard it. Under Jared's voice, barely there but real, there was a second voice, muffled, like it was coming from another room or the other side of the bed. Someone saying something I could not quite make out. Someone who was not Jared. Demi looked at me. "That's Dorian," she said. I played it one more time to be sure. She was right. He was in the apartment at 11 at night while Jared called me crying about how empty everything was. While Jared lay there talking about reaching over and finding nothing, Dorian was right there. The bed was not empty. Dorian was in it. I put my phone down on the counter and just stood there. Something clicked into place in my head like a lock sliding shut. The sadness did not go away completely, but it got smaller. It shrank down from this big, heavy thing sitting on my chest to something I could hold in my hand and look at clearly. Jared was not crying because he lost me. He was crying because he lost the person who made everything work. I was the one who paid when Dorian forgot his wallet. I was the one who cleaned up after he passed out on our couch and left crumbs and empty bottles everywhere. I was the one who gave up my plans, my weekends, my birthday so that Jared would not have to feel guilty about telling his friend no. I was the thing that kept the whole machine running, and now the machine was breaking down and Jared did not know how to fix it. Not because he missed my laugh or the way I looked in the morning, because nobody was doing the work anymore. That night I called Sun. She was friends with both of us but had always been honest with me, sometimes more honest than I wanted. I told her to stop being careful and tell me how bad it was. She let out a long breath. Honestly, it's bad. Dorian basically lives there full time now. He answers Jared's phone sometimes. He told me last week that he and Jared are thinking about getting a bigger place together. He said it like it was already decided. I said, "Did Jared say that?" Sun said, "Dorian said it." Jared just stood there and let him. He laughed when Dorian said it. He actually laughed. I closed my eyes. Of course he did. That was always the pattern. Dorian talked. Dorian decided. Dorian pushed forward one step at a time. And Jared stood there and let him. Because saying no to Dorian was the one thing Jared had never been able to do. I thanked Sun for telling me the truth. She said she was sorry, and she meant it. I told her she had nothing to be sorry about, and I hung up. I sat in my room for a long time after that. I was not angry. That surprised me. What I felt was something different. I felt clear. Like I had been looking at the whole situation through a dirty window for months, and someone had finally wiped it clean. I picked up my phone and opened the text thread. I typed 6 words. "I'll come get the rest of my things this weekend." It buzzed 4 seconds later. "Can we talk when you do?" I locked the phone and went to sleep. Saturday morning, Demi drove. I did not want to go alone. I knew myself. If Jared looked at me the right way, I might hesitate, and I was done hesitating. She parked out front, and I grabbed empty bags from the back seat. The living room light was on. Someone was home, and I had a feeling it was not just Jared. I pushed the door open, and the first thing that hit me was the smell. Old takeout and a body wash that was not mine and not Jared's. My plants were dead. The little pothos on the windowsill I had kept alive for 2 years was brown and shriveled. The counter was covered in takeout containers, some left open with dried sauce on the edges. There was a second pair of shoes by the door, too big and beat up. I knew who they belonged to. Dorian's jacket was hanging on the hook where I used to hang my coat, not tossed on the couch, hung up, on my hook, on my nail, in my spot. Dorian was sitting on the couch in sweatpants with the TV on low. He looked up at me the way you look at someone delivering a package. "Oh, hey, Jared said you might come by." He did not stand. He did not offer to leave the room. He sat there like he belonged and I was the visitor. I did not say a word to him. I walked past the couch and straight to the bedroom. The bedroom was worse. I stopped in the doorway and just looked at it for a second. Dorian's phone charger was plugged into the outlet on my side of the bed. My side. The side where I used to set my alarm and read before I fell asleep. A water bottle that was not mine sat on my nightstand where I used to keep my book. One of those big plastic ones with a straw, half empty, sitting right where I used to keep my book and my glasses. A pillow I did not recognize. Some flat gray thing that did not match anything else on the bed. Different sheets. I do not know if Jared had bought new ones or if Dorian had brought his own, but they were not the ones I had picked out. I stood there for 3 seconds, and then I moved. I pulled drawers open and grabbed whatever was still mine. I shoved clothes into the bag. I opened the closet and pulled out 2 dresses and a jacket pushed to the back. I kept my hands moving because if I stopped, I was going to start feeling. Footsteps in the doorway. Jared looked like he had just woken up even though it was almost noon. Hair messy, bags under his eyes, wearing a shirt I had bought him 2 years ago. "You didn't have to come when he was here. I told you we could talk." I did not look up. "I'm not here to talk. I'm here for my things." He started following me around the room. I know things got out of hand. I know I should have listened. But Dorian's been helping me through this. He's the only reason I haven't completely lost it. I stopped folding the shirt in my hand. I turned around and looked him in the face. He was here before I left Jared. That was the problem. His face went still. He opened his mouth and nothing came out. His eyes searched my face like he was looking for the part where I was wrong. He did not find it. More footsteps. Dorian appeared behind him, arms crossed, chin tilted up. "You know, you could at least say thank you," he said. "I kept him from falling apart after you bailed on him." I zipped my bag and straightened up. I looked directly at him. "You didn't keep him from falling apart. You moved into the space I left. There's a difference." His face twitched, just a little, just enough to know it landed. I walked between them. 3 steps down the hallway, Jared caught my arm. Gentle, not rough. "Please, just give me 5 minutes." I looked at his hand on my arm, then his face. For 1/2 second, I saw the Jared I had fallen for. That version of him had not existed in a long time. I pulled my arm free. "You had 6 months of minutes, Jared. You spent every one of them on him." I walked out, and the click of the latch was the best sound I had heard in months. 2 days later, Jared showed up at Paulina's front door. Sunday afternoon. I was drying dishes when Paulina looked out the living room window and said, "Come here." Jared was on the top step holding a wrapped gift. I recognized the paper. It was the same gift Dorian had set out on my birthday like a trophy. Paulina said, "I told him you didn't want to talk. He won't leave." I said I would handle it. I stepped outside. Jared looked rough. Patchy stubble, red swollen eyes, the same wrinkled shirt from 2 days ago. He held the gift out. "Dorian wanted you to have this. He spent his last $40 on it. You never even opened it." I kept my hands at my sides. "I didn't ask him to buy me anything. I asked you for one night alone with my boyfriend." boyfriend. That's all I ever asked for. He pulled the gift back against his chest. His voice cracked. I know I messed up. I know I let him take up too much space, but I can't just kick him out. He has nobody. You have your mom, your sister, your friends. He has me. He said it like the math of it was supposed to make me come back. I just felt tired. And what did I have, Jared? Because it wasn't you. Not really. He flinched. Then his face hardened. So that's it? 2 years and you just walk away because my friend ate your cereal and sat on your couch? I kept my voice low. You gave him a key without asking me. He was in our apartment when I came out of the shower. He slept in our bed. He was at every date, every trip, every birthday. You told me I was selfish for wanting one dinner alone with the man I loved. Don't you dare make this small. I had been carrying that list in my head for months without knowing it. Jared set the gift on the porch railing and gripped the wood. When he turned back, his voice was almost a whisper. I love you. I still love you. Just tell me what you need and I'll do it. For half a second, the old me reached for the door handle. Then I heard it. A car engine idling. I looked past Jared, past the steps, to the curb. His car was parked there, and Dorian was sitting in the passenger seat, arm resting on the window frame, watching us without expression, like he was waiting for a result. You brought him with you, I said. My voice was completely calm. Right now, to ask me to come back. Jared turned and looked at the car. I watched his face fall. He had parked that car and walked up these steps and knocked on this door with Dorian sitting 20 feet away, and he had not seen a single problem with it until I pointed it out. That was the whole relationship right there. He just needed a ride somewhere. It's not. He trailed off. He could not finish the lie. I stepped back through the door. Goodbye, Jared. I closed it. I turned the lock. I heard his footsteps go down the stairs, the car door open and close, the engine pull away. Paulina opened her arms and I walked into them. I cried, not because I missed Jared, but because I finally understood I never had him. Not fully. That night, Demi sat with me on the back porch and I told her everything. She shook her head. He brought the whole circus to apologize for the clown. I laughed for the first time in weeks. 3 weeks went by. No calls, no texts, no porch visits. I redecorated my room. I painted it a soft blue. I bought a new pothos to replace the one that died on Jared's windowsill. I started running in the mornings. I felt like myself for the first time in over a year. Then on a Wednesday night, my phone rang. Jared. I almost let it go to voicemail. Something in my gut told me to answer. His voice was flat. Dorian and I got into it. Bad. I waited. He told me he wants to be on the lease. He told me it's his apartment too now because he's been paying half the groceries and I owe him. I told him it was my place and he said maybe he should tell people how I really treated you. He's been texting Sun, telling her I was controlling, that I isolated you, that he tried to protect you from me. A chill went through me. Not because I was scared of what Dorian was saying. The chill was because every piece of the puzzle snapped into place at once. Dorian was never just clingy. He was possessive. From the first date he showed up to, from the anniversary trip, from the key in the first week, from the couch he sat in the middle of, from the bed he moved into the night I left. He was not holding on to Jared out of friendship. He was replacing me. I said, Jared, why are you calling me? A long pause. Because you were right. About all of it. I didn't listen, and now I don't know how to get him out of my life. The words I had wanted to hear for months. They felt small. They felt late. They felt like a man standing in the middle of a mess he made, calling the person who used to clean it up. You chose this, I said. Every single time I told you something was wrong, you chose him. When I asked for one birthday dinner, you chose him. When I packed my bags and walked out the door, you stood there and let me go. You didn't chase me. You didn't fight for me. You went back inside and let him take my side of the bed. Jared was crying quietly. I know. I was so afraid of losing him that I lost you instead. That was probably the most honest thing he had ever said. It was not enough. You didn't lose me, Jared. You gave me away, piece by piece. Every time you told me I was being too sensitive, you handed another piece of me to him. And now you're calling me because he's doing the same thing to you. He whispered, can I come see you? Just once. I won't bring him. I promise. I searched my chest for the old pull. That tight little knot that used to tug whenever Jared said the right words in the right tone. It was gone. No, you need to figure this out on your own. I can't be the person who fixes this for you, because that's what I always was. The person who fixed things while you let them break. I hope you get your apartment back, Jared. I hope you learn how to say no, but I'm not coming back. Not now. Not ever. I pressed the red button. The screen went dark. I set the phone face down on my nightstand and sat in the quiet for a minute. I walked down the hall. Paulina was at the table with her book and a cup of tea that was probably cold. She looked up over her reading glasses. Who was that? She asked. I took a glass out of the cabinet and filled it from the tap. The water was cool and clean and simple. I set the glass down and looked at my mom. Nobody, I said, and I meant it.